Yeah, that's the formula for success: surrounding yourself with the right people, and understanding your clientele and listening to them and getting feedback from them. That's always very important.
You are listening to And I Quote, a podcast focused on building relationships with insurance agents, brokers, their small business clients, and industry leaders. This podcast is presented by Coterie Insurance.
With your hosts, Brian Thomas, Director of Claims Experience, and Ann Boger, VP of Scaling. We will be exploring the power that connection, communication, and commitment can have on your business. Join us every Thursday for a new episode and topic that will provide key insights to help build your business, agency, and client relationships. And I quote.
We are going to get started. Welcome to And I Quote. This is a podcast of the importance of building relationships. Relationships are the foundation of building a trustworthy connection, and we believe that we can learn from other stories and experiences. We will be featuring conversations with independent agents, small business owners, industry leaders, and experts. But today, we are speaking with Roger Hayek, owner of Hayek Insurance in Newbury Park, California, and one of his clients, Chris Depalma, who is an entrepreneur and owner of Country Harvest Restaurant, 3 locations, Bushido Martial Arts, and Coach's Ice Cream Parlor, with 2 locations, also in Newbury Park, California. Welcome, Roger and Chris.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having us.
My
Thank you.
absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Roger, first, could you introduce yourself and your business for us, please?
Sure. Yes, I'm the owner of Hayek Insurance, which you just stated. We have been independent insurance brokers now for about 8 years. We've got a full staff in our agency, 7 of us, plus my wife and I. We handle everything from auto, home, life, health, business insurance, and we love working with Coterie. It's easy to quote, easy to service the policies, and we're very pleased with all the support. I started in this insurance business about 30 years ago when I was a captive agent with a company. Took over my father's brokerage when he started. And just a quick story about how he got in the business. He was what was called a debit agent. And a debit agent sold life insurance on a weekly basis. So he would literally knock on people's doors and collect 68 cents worth, and we're talking the mid 60s, 68 cents worth, 82 cents worth of life insurance premium for that week. That's how things were done. And if you can imagine, who had the time to drive to each person's house to collect up a week's worth of insurance premium? I mean, it was just insane. So that's how we got started. So
That is such an interesting story about how insurance has changed.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now,
From
now if I don't have to leave the office, I'm a very happy man, because going out to do inspections and things like that is very time consuming.
you don't have to hop into the station wagon like National
No,
Lampoon's Vacation to get over to people to get the premium.
exactly, exactly.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Raj. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Chris, if you can introduce yourself and your businesses.
Sure. My name is Christopher Depalma. So I own Bushido Martial Arts, which we specialize in teaching combat jujitsu and submission grappling. Um, and then Country Harvest Restaurant, which has been in Newbury Park since 1989. Um, and I've been an owner for 6 years. And then we recently expanded to neighboring cities, Camarillo and Moore Park, um, and have 2 locations there. And then we also own Coach's Ice Cream, which is kind of an old-fashioned ice cream parlor. It's got old sports memorabilia inside. Our new location in Moore Park actually has seats from Wrigley Field, original seats from Wrigley Field from the 1940s there, that you can come sit inside. And we serve super premium ice cream, so it's pretty much the best ice cream you can get. Um, and yeah, I mean, my wife and I run the businesses together, along with our business partner Matt Bovard, who's also Newbury Park local.
You like partnering with folks, huh, Chris? When you start new businesses, you like to bring in somebody that can, I like John Trudeau. He's a graphic arts person, right?
Yeah,
And so it was helpful to have him design the new logo and style for coaches, which is really
yeah,
important for a business, to have that unique look. It's not like you can just open a business. There's a lot of work that goes
right,
into it.
right. Yeah, somebody like John is invaluable. Companies around the world have brought John in to design their logos and design their websites and design a lot of their graphic design needs. He's a world class designer, and so when he decided he would rather be involved with the business rather than charge us, we were definitely so.
That's good. That's smart thinking. That's smart entrepreneurial thinking to bring people of value into your business. That's kind of like Papa John's, right? You got all these celebrities that probably have a piece of the action, and they just have them come up and speak for them, and they don't have to pay them. They just go up there and do it for their own good.
Let me ask you that. So, which one of the businesses that you currently have was your very first business owned?
Bushido martial arts. So
Okay.
I've been jiu-jitsu since junior year of high school. I started when I was 6 years old. My dad was a brown belt when I was born, so we were kind of born into that lineage. I started instead of going out and getting a part-time job when I was in high school, I set up mats in my backyard and I
That's
started
amazing.
teaching kids out of the
That's
house. So
amazing. I didn't know that.
yeah,
I
so
didn't know you started the business when you're in high school.
yeah,
That's incredible.
oh yeah, yeah, junior
Wow.
junior year. So we'd have a bunch of guys that want to train, and then we'd have a bunch of people that would come sit in the backyard and watch and couldn't believe.
That's fantastic.
So, how did you get started? Your agency? I know you said that you kind of took it in from your father, but I know you probably put your own spin on it, right?
Yes.
So, how did you get started on your foundation in the agency, and what was your biggest lesson out of
The
that?
biggest lesson I learned is policy management and consume contact relationship management. So when we started our independent brokerage about 8 years ago, we discovered that paper files and software systems that are used by other companies may not fit our needs exactly. So we developed our own agency management system, which we now license out to other brokers. And by using that system, we've been able to stay on top of things and be responsive and keep notes and track policies. And we've even evolved that into a client-facing site. So Chris, as he knows, can log in and view his policies with any company that we've got him insured with. And I think that's what sets us apart, the ability to be able to do that.
What are the pieces that you need to kind of keep in mind when you have a person who wants to start their own business? What do you have to kind of keep in
Hmm.
mind?
You want to answer that question, Chris? What kinds of things do you have to keep in mind when you want to start your business?
I mean, you have the popular answers, right? Which are, do we think this business is going to make money? Do we think it's a viable for our community? Are we filling a need? Um, does what we have to offer? Do we have a lot of competition in our area? What are the costs to start it? Um, you know, how long do we think it's going to take to get into the black? Those are all just standard. I think on the other end, you need to think about what your sweat equity is going to be on a regular basis. Do you have a good team around you of people that you can, you know, um, count on? People that are reliable and people who can run the business at the quality that you want to see it ran at. Is where me and my partners are at mostly now are not so much of a hands-on every single day we're in the restaurant in the kitchen cooking food. It's not like that really. Although I still do teach a couple classes a week in jujitsu, and I am in all the restaurants on a weekly basis. But I'm not, as I said, I'm not in the back cooking food. I'm not up front greeting guests. If it's a holiday or something to that, or a Sunday, I'll pop in the restaurants and walk around, shake hands, and say hi to people. But it's more building teams of people in your locations that are capable of running the business to the standards and qualities that you want. And I think once all the red tape is gone through initially, the things that we talked about being the popular answers, then I think it comes down to that. And does it all equal at the end of the day? And is the juice worth the squeeze type of thing?
Yeah,
So
that's the formula for success: surrounding yourself with the right people, and understanding your clientele and listening to them and getting feedback from them. That's always very important. Along the lines of the insurance coverage, Chris mentioned something that made me think about one real important part of the policy that we provide is the loss of business income. So if there is a fire, water damage, and so on, without the right business income coverage, you're not going to be able to reopen. So not only getting the place rebuilt, but to receive that income while the business is being rebuilt is real important as well.
So awesome. One thing that I'm taking away from the conversations between both Chris and Raj today is that their fathers, obviously their parents, but their fathers had such an impact on where they are today. Roger, obviously, you saying that in terms of your dad kind of starting the business in the truck, doing the weekly premiums for everybody in life insurance, and Chris, your dad introducing you to food service, your dad introducing you to jujitsu. Even for myself, I know this isn't about me, but I'm gonna give you a little bit about myself too. So, my dad owned a small business for a good part. I want to say about 32 years. So when the time came to look for a new opportunity here at Coterie Insurance that handles and takes care of small business folks, I thought like how awesome would it be to kind of give back to a company that is a small business that gives back to small businesses for those people that are looking to start out. That young Christopher Depalma who has those mats in his backyard and saying like, you know what, I could make a business out of this. How do I get started? Finding individuals like Roger and then binding together with us here at
No,
Coterie
that's
just makes it
wonderful.
kind of a trifecta.
And we hope we can pass this knowledge on to our children too. Our kids are both in
no,
college right now, and we hope that they come into the family business. But if they want to pursue other things, we'll definitely support them and help them get their own businesses started if they want to go that route. I know, Chris, you got your kids, hanging around the businesses all the time. I'm sure. I mean, it's just the natural order of things,
yeah, I think my son's going to start working at the ice
right?
cream parlor this summer.
It's not-
He wrestles in high school. So he's definitely taken on the grappling aspect. My daughter's in elementary school, but she's one of our biggest promoters. She walks around school all the time talking about our businesses. I want her friends to go to Baskin Robbins. They should only go to coaches. So yeah,
Future director of marketing there, Chris. Future director of marketing.
exactly.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, so you know what, Chris? Follow up question. So, how did you and Roger get together? How did you
So
guys meet up?
I could take that one, Chris. So the Chris's
Sure.
partner Matt Bovard. So Chris and I went to high school together, but I'm a couple years older than him, so we didn't really know each other in high school. But years later, I had been insuring Chris's partner Matt Bovard for his personal insurance and so on and so forth, and that's how Chris and I got introduced. And along that topic, that's how businesses are built, right? These personal relationships, friends and family. It is an electronic world, but it's still personal relationships that build the business. Really, we're constantly talking to new faces and friends and family, and building the business that way.
Let's delve into a little bit more of that community question. Now, obviously, like I said, you guys went to high school together, didn't know each other, different circles. But what do you feel is so welcoming from a community standpoint, and really kind of really giving back to the city or town where you guys were born and raised?
To me, um, I think it's natural once we started having Roger as our agent. It just spread throughout all of our businesses. Hasn't even been a second thought. We've also, you know, Roger will come over to the restaurant and eat. He's brought his dad, brought his family over to eat. Um, you know, um, I had a son in my jujitsu class for a while. He coached wrestling at the high school. I coached wrestling at the high school. So it's all kind of interlocked. And at this point, I don't even shop policies or anything like that. If I'm opening a new place and I get things done, I reach out to Roger immediately, get our liability set up, get our workers' comp set up. Commercial auto we have, with them as well. Um, and so, I think that part of it, knowing that we're keeping it small town, and he's right down the street, and I've had him make calls on my behalf before that you're not going to get if you're with Geico or other insurance companies. Roger will get on the phone and handle things. So to me, the community aspect of us being interwoven, so to speak, along with the fact that he's so hands on as an agent, it makes it
Chris knows
super
where to
easy
find me,
for me.
right? And if he needs me, I'm there for him. He can send me a text message, he can email me, he can call me, he can send over a message, carrier pigeon, whatever, and we're gonna want to be responsive to his needs because we know how busy he is. I remember one morning he called me he needed the keys to open the Moore Park location, and it was all happening so fast. And he didn't want to lose that location to somebody else, and he needed to get all his ducks in a row in a hurry. And so we were able to quote it, bind it, deliver the evidence of insurance in a matter of minutes, and I think he was very happy with that.
So, talk to me a little bit, Chris, about the ease of expanding, right? So, I mean, obviously, we know that you have multiple locations for your restaurant, multiple locations for your ice cream parlor. Talk to me about the importance of expanding and the ease of use of doing that when everything kind of sets into place.
So I think expanding. Um, I mean, the natural goal is to be able to serve as many people with ease as possible. So if we have our original home location for both Coaches and Country Harvest in Newbury Park, then people from Camarillo and Thousand Oaks and Westlake and Moore Park and Simi Valley, they're all having to venture, some of them 20, 25 miles to get to us. So the idea is getting to set up in neighboring towns where you can reach a bigger subscriber base. And that's ultimately the goal. As far as it being easy, I mean, it's not easy per se. What is easy is that when you have a recipe for success and you do things with quality, and you have, again, a quality team behind you, and you know how to get in there and deal with the city and deal with the health department, and make sure that everything is handled correctly, your foundation's built solid, then I think it makes it easier. Um, for sure. Definitely not easy, but easier. Um, and having a relationship on the insurance side of it, like we have with Roger, he definitely makes it super easy for us. There's been times where I was like, oh man, I got to get this thing done. Like he referred to the Moore Park situation. You know, I it was right before the weekend, so that even added to it. It was a Friday, right? So it was like we got to do it today, or nothing happens this whole weekend. We lose a full weekend of getting into this new place and building and everything else. And it was less than an hour for sure from start to finish that we had a binded rate. It was great. It was a great rate, and everything was set, and ready to go. So he definitely makes it easy. Knows his job very well, and I think that's probably where the quote comes from. Of if it was that easy, I'd be opening up everywhere, right? Because that ship is super
Yes.
super easy.
So, Roger, from an insurance agent standpoint, what are the pieces that are needed to be able to branch out in that respect, or what would
Yeah, I
your
mean,
company offer
the
out as
the ability
assistance in those
to
specific
deliver to the
scenarios?
clients quickly and efficiently and with a good rate, like Chris said, and good coverage is huge. I mean, there was a time where it took days and weeks for things to get approved through underwriting and to finally deliver and so on. And now with Coterie's help, it's just become so simple for us to deliver, and I think that's what sort of gives us that competitive edge, is that when you contact us, we can provide for you almost immediately.
Beautiful, beautiful. And my follow up question for you, Chris: what advice would you give a young Chris, that young person, a young entrepreneur that's looking to start their own business, what kind of advice would you give that individual?
I think unless it's an outlandish dream, something that you can't just start walking towards and expect to get there immediately, something that takes years to nurture to get towards, perhaps like being a surgeon or something of that nature, or a black belt in jiu-jitsu, right, which is like having your doctorate in martial arts. That takes about 10 to 12 years, about the same time as it takes to become a doctor. um, I think if it's a realistic goal and you have the skin to take the nose along the way, um, I would say the reward is you can't really buy freedom, right? You can't buy the freedom to have somebody tell you when you have to be at work, how things need to be, um, and you're building somebody else's dream. So I would say if it is a realistic, obtainable goal and you want to go into business for yourself, research the steps, but sometimes you just got to start walking at it and allow it to develop and clean up the messes along the way rather than sitting still and trying to analyze and think everything to death and never taking a step towards making it happen.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring
Beautiful,
up there,
beautiful
Chris.
word. Beautiful word.
When you get into business, when you start a business, it's not like you can just sort of slowly start it. It's going, it's a fast moving and constantly changing being, and there's always fires to put out and always things that have to be adjusted for and accommodated for. And I know you say you're not in the kitchen and you're not doing those things, but I know for sure that there are times where something happened and you have to get in there.
Oh yeah.
You've got to change
Oh
your
yeah.
hat and you got to be there,
Yeah.
at the drop of a dime and go for it, because nobody else is going to do it.
Thank you so much. Roger and Chris, thank you guys so much. And you know what? Thank you to our listeners out there listening to And I Quote podcast, emphasizing the importance of building trustworthy relationships that can help grow your business through educational conversations with independent agents, small business owners, industry leaders, and experts. Always, this podcast is brought to you by Coterie Insurance. Coterie Insurance is simplifying small business insurance agents through brokers and partners. If you are interested in becoming a Coterie producer or being a guest on our podcast, please click the link in our show notes below. Do not forget to subscribe to And I Quote podcast so you can get notified when we have a new episode release. Christopher and Roger, thank you so much. I appreciate it. My name is Brian Thomas, one of the co-hosts here of And I Quote, and we will see you next week. Thank you guys so much.